You've been here before as a returner, but when you come into the building and into the town, what sort of your first impressions or it's
It definitely feels kind of weird. I mean, even though I've been here for so long, it feels like it's been forever since I've been here. Like you said, I've only played here one time before this time, so and that was obviously a great experience. And this time around, hoping for the same type of result. But it's just as it goes on, it's just a part of the road trip. It's one of those games that you circle on your calendar that's one of the more fun cities in the league, and a great building to play in and all that type of stuff. So we're looking forward to the challenge. Both teams got similar records, and fighting to stay in a playoff spot. So lots going into tomorrow night, and started off today with a good practice.
I know you were really looking forward to it last year. Is it different this year than it was coming back last year? Because it's not the first time.
Yeah, it's a little different just because you kind of know what to expect as a visitor, but still, it's always special to come back. Compare it a little bit to every time I play in Vancouver, even though I played there as a visitor a lot more than I have here. It's still a lot of fun to go back in your hometown, but here also kind of feels a little bit like that, where it is kind of like your hometown and where you spent a lot of time and stuff like that. So it's always a little extra special, and just looking forward to tomorrow night and here in the Garden, rocking like you were used to for 8 years.
And the more time goes by, too, there are fewer guys you played with.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely less and less guys, like you said, as time goes on, and especially going back to those really good teams that we had, especially in 2011 and 2013, where I think those were the guys that you really bonded with more than anything, and a lot of those guys aren't here anymore. So as time goes on, I guess the connection with the players on the other team kind of goes away, but I think the connection with the fans in the city is kind of always still there.
Yeah, they still love you here, I would imagine.
I would have had something you'd have to go on the street and ask people, but I would imagine.
Yeah. Nobody says Bruin more than Lucic, I guess.
Yeah.
Check my Twitter feed. I think the answer is still yes. What has this year been like for you? Obviously, a new situation, but this time, as opposed to last year, it's a long-term one. There's some certainty there.
Yeah, obviously the certainty is great from a mental standpoint. Kind of knowing where you're going to be moving on in the future, but short term, it's been a fun and interesting year. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of young guys learning how to play the right way night in, night out. And the great thing is that you have all these young guys with all these young talents, special talents, willing to kind of change their ways and change the culture and the atmosphere and move it in the right direction, so it becomes more of a winning atmosphere. And like I said, we've had our ups and downs. It's been a tough road so far, and the funny part is that we still got 43 games to go, so there's still a long ways to go. But it's been fun. We know it's going to be a grind and a dogfight all the way to the end to hopefully end off in a playoff spot. But like I said, you just got to enjoy the moment and be in the moment.
How has your experience, I mean, you are, as you said, sort of a more veteran guy in a room that does have a lot of young guys. How has that helped you sort of find your place in your role, and maybe how you can bring that stuff to these guys who haven't been there?
Well, you kind of come in with the mentality of just being yourself and doing what you've done over the past year that's given you success. But I think addressing things and being more vocal about things and kind of understanding what the older guys had to do back in the day when I was a young guy, and calling guys out and calling situations out and rectifying things before they get too bad, and noticing that and addressing that before they get too bad is like I said, has probably been the biggest adjustment for me in having to speak up more than I have in the past. So that's that's probably been the biggest adjustment for me as far as in the room, as far as the vocal stuff goes. I mean, I've always been a vocal guy, as you know, but kind of always been more of a happy-go-lucky guy instead of the call-out, type of guy. But it's something that has to be done. I will say, you appreciate the older guys a lot more now that you're kind of in their position and knowing how hard it is, where sometimes you have to say something that, it's not a popular thing to say, but I guess you gotta do what's right for the team and kind of set aside personal versus professional and stuff like that. So I think that's been the most learning thing for me this year, and how to go about it and how to address it and how to do it in the right way. And like I said, so far guys have been willing to listen and guys have been willing to change to play the right way and do what it takes to win, and it's been fun so far.
You kind of knew what you were getting into, but has it been the way you expected things were going to go?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I look back a lot of when I first came to Boston in 07-08, where we were pegged to finish, I think, 13th in the conference, and we battled it out all the way to the end and end up getting the 8th seed and kind of pushing the first seed Montreal to Game 7, and so it's been a little bit similar to that, but I think what this team has that team didn't have is I think a lot more individual talent, a lot more guys that are able to kind of step up and make a huge play where they're individual plays, which we didn't really have back in 07-08. So I think things have kind of gone the way that I had hoped so far this year, but like I said, there's still a little more than half the season to go, so there's still a long ways to go before we can revisit this question and I can give you a better answer.
You talked about some of the differences, but there is a little bit of a Bruins flavor to this team. You've got yourself, Matthew Benning was the draft pick of the Bruins, and then the guy that's building it all is Peter Chiarelli. Do you see any of Peter's Boston imprints on this team a little bit with the way he wants to build it? Or?
Yeah, I think we're a much bigger team, especially up front. With myself and Patty Maroon and Zach Kassian and Hendricks, and even I know Yessi is just 18, but he's a big body. That's hard to play against when he's going. So just being team tough, that's something that helps the team come together, and I guess that creates confidence within the group and within each other, and that's something that we had, and that's here in Boston, and that's something that we're trying to build here in Edmonton. And it takes time, it takes process, it takes guys willing to buy in, and it's something that we're going to have to do on a night in, night out basis for the rest of the year here, because a lot of games are going to be like the game that we played last night. It wasn't a matter of skill, it wasn't a matter of anything other than what team was willing to outwork the other, and that's the type of attitude and mentality that we have to have moving forward.
Specifically about Peter, what did you see from him in Boston as like a builder of a team that gives you hope for this one?
Just having a real good captain to build around. It started with Big Z here, and he obviously has a great captain in Connor. Obviously a little bit different in the type of personalities and style of play and all that type of stuff, but two very, very special players, and two guys that want to win and want to be great captains and all that type of stuff. So just having that ability to build around guys like that, I think is something that I see that's very similar.